Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Zoe. Today I'm going to be filming a ranking romance book tropes. If you have not seen, I recently ranked every single Harry Styles song, which I'll put a link to up there somewhere. If you've seen it, you know the drill. If you haven't, go watch it. But I've got my laptop here and I'm going to rank them. Let's go. Starting with, okay, so the categories I have are haven't read it, it has to go, not a vibe, doesn't hit unless done right, not my fave or not, and not my least fave. I usually enjoy it, and then I will read anything with this trope. I did get this template from another person, but I made it my own, so I don't know who made it, but thank you to whoever did it. Ooh, starting off strong. Age gap. I do not like age gap. I'm sorry. A little age gap, like max 5 years, 5-6 years, that's okay. But when we're talking like the trope of the book is the age gap and it's like 10, 15, 20 years, no, absolutely not. I think it has to go in, it has to go. It's not for me. Okay, then we have Only One Bed, a classic, I have to say. I'm gonna put it in I usually enjoy it because I feel like it's not a full trope. Like, it's not the trope of the whole book, it's just like one section. So I'm gonna go I usually enjoy it. Love at First Sight. I can't think of if I actually read anything like this. I can't remember reading anything that was like really like the whole point was it was like love at first sight. So I'm gonna put it in haven't read it. If you have any recommendations for Love at First Sight, put them in the comments and I'll read them. Single parent, absolutely not. I hate single parent tropes. I'm so sorry. Also, I want to preface this by saying this is just my opinion. If you like them, that's fine. If you hate what I like, that's fine too. Each to their own. But for me, I hate single parent. Not mine, not my vibe. So I'm gonna put it in it has to go because I really don't like it. Ooh, one of them gets sick. If it's like one small part of the book and it's like, I don't know, what did I read recently? Oh, maybe it's The Hating Game. It's The Hating Game. Has like one small section that like she gets sick, but the whole thing isn't about her being sick and it like doesn't drag on for long. But if it's like the whole book, like, I'm sorry, I know some people like love this book, but I hated it. It's possibly one of the worst books I've read. Marriage for One, not the vibe. That had big spoilers, sorry. That had like a sickness. One of them gets sick in it and I hated it. I actually almost DNF'd it. I pushed through just to like get it done, but it was not good. So I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna put it in not a vibe because if it's one section, that's okay. But if it's like the whole book, no. Next we have another classic, Friends to Enemies to Lovers. This tends to be, I find, like, not second chance romance, but like they were childhood friends and then they were enemies and then now like years later they're lovers. I'm gonna put this in, it's not my, actually I say I usually enjoy it. I prefer enemies to lovers, but I like it. Friends to lovers, I'm gonna put it in it's not my favourite and it's not my least favourite. I just prefer enemies to lovers, there's more tension. Friends to lovers, like, yeah, it's not my favourite. What's something that's friends to lovers? I guess The Summer I Turned Pretty is kind of friends to lovers, which I didn't hate, but again, just it's not my favourite, not my least favourite. Enemies to lovers, I will read anything with this pretty much. I love a good enemies to lovers. It's classic, can't go wrong. Ooh, I've got age gap twice, so I'm just gonna put it in. Oh no. Pregnancy. Again, anything with a kid, I just don't want it. I'm sorry, that's not why I'm reading the book. If I was reading the book and I wanted a child in it, I would read something with a child in it. I don't know, but if I'm reading romance, I do not want a pregnancy, I do not want a kid, nothing. So I'm sorry, but for me, it has to go. That also applies to even if like the whole book, it's like enemies to lovers, blah blah blah, they get married at the end and the book ends with them getting married and there's an epilogue of them having a kid, it ruins the book for me. I'm sorry, I just don't want to hear it. Live happily ever after and be married. And it's kind of ironic because I love kids, but in a book, not for me. Oh, another classic, fake dating. I'm gonna say I usually enjoy it. And I think in here somewhere, yeah, I have Marriage of Convenience as well. I'd say I like fake dating more than Marriage of Convenience, which Marriage for one is Marriage of Convenience. Not good. But it's not my, like, I wouldn't read anything, I don't think. I prefer others. Next is, Slow Burn. Now, I love a good slow burn. You know, just really eke it out and make tension. But if you have read Mariana Zapata books, I haven't read many. I've only read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. Wall of Winnipeg and Me? You know what I'm talking about. That is so incredibly slow. That's the only book I've read by Mariana Zapata, but I know all of her like notorious slow burns, like really slow burns. That is like, I was reading it on my Kindle and so it like told me how far through I was. I got like 80% through and they still weren't together. So if you want to read Mariana Zapata or The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, be prepared that it's a long haul. Having said that, I do usually enjoy it, but sometimes they can be a bit too slow. Ooh, I Hate Everyone in the World But You. I'm gonna say this, it's not my fave, but it's not my least fave. I think that it can just get a bit annoying, like just too much, like I hate other people. Like I understand that like you have a soft spot for the girl or for the guy, that's fine, but sometimes it can just be they can be a little too grumpy, if you know what I mean. So I'm gonna put it not my fave, not my least fave. Right Person, Not Enough Time. Have I read anything? Oh, actually, it's not really Right Person, Not Enough Time. Well, I guess it kind of is. Song of Achilles is kind of like this, and They Both Die at the End is like this. Shocker by the title, they both die in the end. And so they don't really have enough time. I'm gonna say it doesn't hit unless it's done right. Yeah, and like, They Both Die in the End, I didn't really like that much, and Song of Achilles, I'll put it in my reading wrap up, so look out for that. I don't know, it's just not, I feel like it needs something else to like make it hit. Good Boy, Bad Girl. Ooh, I'm trying to think if I've actually read anything like this. I don't think I've really read anything that has like a bad girl. I'm gonna say haven't read it. Again, if you have recommendations, put them in the description. Billionaire. I think the only one that I've read recently that was like really like millionaire was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, I believe. I have to read Terms and Conditions, and I think there's a third one coming out, but it's like what's the series called? I don't know what it's called, but basically he like owns a theme park, or his family owns a theme park, kind of like Disneyland, and he's like a billionaire. I'm gonna say I usually enjoy it. Like, it's not my absolute favourite, but I do like it. Okay, Royalty. See, this is hard because I would have said that I will read anything with this because Red, White and Royal Blue is royalty kind of. Well, it is, half of it is royalty. And that is my favourite book of all time. However, I've recently read Song of Achilles, and that I would count that as royalty, really. One of them's a prince, basically, a god, same kind of thing. And that wasn't my favourite. So maybe I'll say it doesn't hit unless done right, because I like Red, White and Royal Blue is my favourite book of all time, but is it because of the trope? No, I just like the book. Ooh, Secret Relationships. I'm gonna say it's not my fave and it's not my least fave. Slash doesn't hit unless done right. I feel like it has to be done right, and also it can't like drag on for too long, I think. Sports romance. I am a sucker for a good sports romance. I'm gonna put it in I will read anything with this, and that means that I will pick up anything with this, because I have to admit some sport romances are written terribly, but regardless I will pick it up and maybe I'll DNF it, but usually I'll push through because they're just easy to think too hard. Usually it's a college romance as well, which I also really like. I don't know if I have it on there. I guess I do. I'll get to college romance. But it's just a good reset. They're always, pretty much always, entertaining. Love a good sports romance. Second chance romance. Oh, did I read anything like this? I can't think if I've read anything like it or if I've been meaning to read. Like, I've been meaning to read Love and Other Words, which I believe is a second chance romance. And there's a couple of others on my TBR which are second chance romance. So I'm gonna put it in... Oh, actually no, that's not true. I read It Ends With Us. It's not really second chance romance, but it has that bit with Atlas at the end. So I guess I have read it, but I didn't. Controversial, I'm not a big fan of Colleen Hoover, and I didn't like It Ends With Us. So I feel like I can't really say, I don't really have a full, well-rounded thing on it. So I'm gonna put it in and I haven't read it for now, until like I read a whole book that like the whole plot is based around. It's a second chance romance. Next I have Stepbrother. I feel like this is really hit and miss. I'm trying to think if I've read any actually good ones. I don't think I have. I feel like all the ones I've read, they've just been not great. So I'm gonna go not a vibe. I don't hate the trope, I just don't think I've really read anything that like has it and is really good. So jury's still out on that one. Ooh, Rivals to Lovers. A close friend of Enemies to Lovers, but generally like sports rivals to lovers, academic rivals to lovers, that kind of thing. Love a good Rivals to Lovers. Just adds even more tension to Enemies to Lovers. Next is college romance. As I said, usually a sports college romance. Love, easy to get through. I'm gonna say I will read anything with this. I do love a good college romance. Bully romance. Have I read anything that's like really... I don't think, not off the top of my head, that I've read anything that's a bully romance, but the vibes I get from it, I'm gonna say it's not a vibe, or it has to go. But I can't think of anything I've read, so I'm gonna put it in a I haven't read it, but I'm gonna assume that if I did read it, it would probably be either not a vibe or it has to go. Why? You know, you don't have to be mean. Brother's Best Friend. I can't remember, but I feel like I have read something that's Brother's Best Friend, and I'm gonna say I usually enjoy it. It kind of has like secrecy. It is normally kind of like sort of friends to lovers vibes, where like they might have known you when you were young, or like they know you as like your brother's little sister, and then like they start to fall for you. So I'm gonna put in I usually enjoy it, but I can't think off the top of my head what I've read that is Brother's Best Friend, but I think I have. If you have any recommendations, put them in the comments. Friends with Benefits to Lovers. I'm gonna say it's not my favourite, it's not my least favourite. I don't like it when they start as friends with benefits and then go to lovers. I need there to be like, they were friends first and then they are friends with benefits and then they're lovers, or they were enemies and then they're friends with benefits, and then I just need something else in the beginning. I don't like it when it's like straight away just friends with benefits to lovers. So I'm gonna put it in not my fave, not my least fave. Workplace romance. I'm gonna say I usually enjoy it because I feel like of all the books that I've read with it, like the Hating Game kind of stuff, Love Hypothesis, although I feel like that's kind of also university, but I guess you would say that's workplace. I do like them, but I don't know if that's the trope or just that I've read like books that I like that had that in it. So I'm gonna put it in I usually enjoy it. Next is Love Triangle. I'm gonna say it doesn't hit unless done right. I still haven't read, if you watch one of my other videos, I think it was my reading wrap up, I said that I read The Summer I Turned Pretty and didn't realise it was a trilogy. So I haven't read all of those, but I did like them, and that is a love triangle. Kind of a love square in the first one, but also I can really not like it. So I'm gonna say it doesn't hit unless it's done right. Forced Proximity, a classic again. Kind of the betrayals was Forced Proximity. It's not really a romance book, but it has a romance element in it, and they're like at the same, she's a teacher at this like school and he was a student and comes back and like visits and he has to stay there. So that's kind of Forced Proximity. I'm trying to think what else I've read. Similar to Marriage of Convenience, I guess, kind of stuck in the same, you have to put up with each other. So I'm gonna put it in I usually enjoy it. Next is Bad Boy, Good Girl. I read Punk 50, is it Punk 57? 57? Punk 47? Something like that. At the start of this year, and I feel like off the top of my head that was Bad Boy, Good Girl, but I can't really remember. I'm gonna put it in, I usually, it's kind of in between, on the higher end of not my fave, not my least fave. It's kind of like, I do enjoy it. I don't know why, that just seems right. Next is Mafia Romance. I've not read an actual book, I don't think, that's Mafia Romance. I've read on Wattpad, like years ago, I've read some. And I'm gonna say it's not my fave, it's not my least fave. Like, I'm just kind of, I don't mind. I probably wouldn't pick it out in an actual book, but I don't hate it. So, not my fave, not my least fave. Next is Grumpy X Sunshine. Again, a classic. I don't know if it's I usually enjoy this or I'll read anything with this. I'm gonna put it at the top of I usually enjoy this because would I read absolutely anything with it? Probably not, but I do really like it. Next is Bodyguard. What did I read that was Bodyguard? There's the Like Us series. I think I only read the first one, which I want to say is Damaged Like Us, but don't quote me on that. I think that's what it was, is Bodyguard, and I did like that one. And it kind of is Forced Proximity. Generally it's Grumpy X Sunshine because the bodyguard is like not mean, but like not happy. So I'm gonna put it in I usually enjoy it, but I think that's the only thing I've read with it, so that could change. Ooh, down to the last two. Right Person, Wrong Time. Again, this kind of comes under It Ends With Us, I guess. It doesn't like really show Atlas and Lily? Atlas and Lily? They don't completely show Atlas and Lily's like full past romance, so it wasn't like fully Right Person, Wrong Time, but kind of same vibes. I'm gonna say it's not my favorite, it's not my least favorite. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And lastly, we have One of Us is Famous. I've read Both of Us is Famous, which is basically Red, White and Royal Blue. The only book that I can think off the top of my head that is One of Us is Famous is, oh, actually, I guess The Fine Print. I keep going to say The Fine Line, like Harry's album. No. Fine Print is kind of One of Us is Famous, but it's more like he's rich, not like famous. The only book that I can think of is One of Us is Famous, which I haven't read. What is it called? I can literally see the cover. It's the one where he is like a pop star and she's an interviewer, and she interviews him, and then he comes back and they interview 10 years later or something, and then they fall in love. I can only think of that one, but I haven't actually read it. So I'm gonna say I haven't read it because I can't think of something off the top of my head that I have. Okay, well, I guess that is it. I enjoy a lot. I also don't enjoy a lot, apparently. Let me know if you agree with these or if you completely disagree. Leave your recommendations for the ones that I haven't read in the comments, and I will try to read some of them, and then maybe my opinion on them will change. Also, if you have really good recommendations for ones I don't like, put them in there and I might give them a go, and we'll see if that changes my opinion on them. Maybe you can change my mind, especially if the doesn't hit unless it's done right. Oh my god, I cannot speak today. Thank you for watching. I don't know what else to say, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.